Just make sure. Am I unmuted? I'm unmuted. No. You were wrong. Y'all was really it's almost betrayal. I think it's more like you were slow. You gotta come on. There we go.
We were fanning out. I felt like that I was fanning out. I was like, oh my god! Like, you don't understand. The day I saw, when I saw Olivia post your flyer one day, they said Silver Spring, Maryland, and I live in Silver Spring. I said, oh god, I didn't know the I was thinking there, or why, I didn't even know this. Charge me. That's how much I gotta pay. That's what I was asking everybody. Like, I didn't know it was free. You know what I'm saying?
That's why I asked you, right?
Yeah, I was like, I don't care. Like, whatever he's saying, I need to listen. I was so happy. And then his team, like, God, everyone who just said one word at that. You get it set up?
Oh, they're set up. I'm setting up my cable. Just got paid.
All right, guys, we're about to start.
All right, guys, welcome back. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
That's good. All right, so I'm not gonna use the mic. Today we're gonna switch up a little bit. We're gonna be talking about Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies. I'm gonna start by giving you guys a little bit of a backstory about how I got involved in this market. So I'm gonna bring you guys all the way back to like 2010 when I first found Bitcoin. 2 years after the after the white paper came out, basically outlining the entire vision behind this. So the first time I found this was back in 2010. I was a senior in high school. The way I found this was I was on Twitter. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit of a conspiracy theorist. You know, I'm sure there's a few of you guys out there too. And I used to follow a page called Anonymous. You guys probably know about the internet group Anonymous, right? In their bio, they were taking Bitcoin donations for the work that they were doing. And as somebody that's, you know, big into tech, big into finance, I was like, you know, let me research this, let me look into it. That's the first time that I was ever exposed to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. and the potential that this market had. Now, back in 2010, the price of a Bitcoin was $70, maybe $75 a piece. And no, I did not buy it. I did try to buy it. So back in high school, when I did find it through Anonymous, I was like, you know what? Let me see if I can get in this. If they're in it, there has to be some credibility to it. You know, there was a group that I was following that I, believed in. I tried to buy it. I went on the internet. I probably spent an hour or 2 hours. Didn't really put much effort into it, to be quite honest. And it would just seem too hard, right? There was a lot of things that had to be done in order to actually go in and purchase it. It's not like it was today. It's not like it is today, where you can open up an app on your phone and buy it like that, right? You either had to find somebody on the internet that was willing to sell it to you, somebody that was mining it, right? You had to find somebody that was already involved, and then you had to go through all the computer specifications of setting up wallets and all this other stuff that we're going to go over today. So again, finding it in 2010 was great because I saw the vision behind it, but the technology, the systems were not there. So today I'm going to go over a few of those things with you guys on how much easier it is today and how you guys can begin to get involved into this market. I want to start with a few questions though. So who in this room currently already owns Bitcoin? Okay. Who here has ever bought it for the pure reason of just funding your brokers? I know a lot of us do that. All right. So these same people, you guys hold Bitcoin too? You're invested for the long term? You didn't just use that fund, you didn't just give it to your broker to hold on to? Yeah? All right.
Honestly, Scags, I do what you suggest.
I know you're listening. I know you're listening. So we're going to talk about this from a long-term perspective. All right. I want you guys to keep that in mind. Because with Bitcoin, you have to keep long-term perspective. The first thing I want to bring to your attention is how young this market is. Right? I found Bitcoin in 2010. That's 10 years ago. Bitcoin, the white paper was released. Yeah, I think it was like late 2008.
Can you explain what the white paper is?
Yeah, a white paper, guys, is just think of it like a blueprint for an idea, right? If you had an idea, something that you wanted to bring to life, you would basically just type that out in a document. That's why they call it a white paper. It's only just printed on white paper, right? That's what it is, and it just basically lines out an idea. So Satoshi Nakamoto, the person, the pseudonym behind Bitcoin, right? We don't really know who actually even published this paper. We don't know, the name Satoshi Nakamoto is not a real name. It's not a real person. But this paper came about in 2008. It was just the vision behind it. What I'll actually do for you guys real quick, in case you ever want to read the Bitcoin white paper, it's available to you on bitcoin.org. So I can bring it up, right? If you come right in here, you can go to resources. Where do y'all keep the white paper at? It should be right here. They used to make this so easy. All right, right here, white paper. If you open this up and you read this, you can get the original English version here. And this is Satoshi Nakamoto's vision, right? It's just a very basic document that Got you. Want me to use the mic? Which one are we using? Blue, orange, doesn't matter? Either one? The red button?
Yeah, it's like a gray seal.
Oh, back in.
Yeah.
All right, testing. Can you guys hear me? You're good? Okay. So this white paper here, again, it lays out everything to do with Bitcoin. Again, this came out in 2008. It's a very basic document in terms of the way that it's structured. Obviously, the technical details behind Bitcoin, which even people like myself, right, I've been around this for a few years now, even some of this stuff still goes over my head. So don't try to sit here and understand the exact technical specifications of it. It's cool to look into. But again, this is just, the original vision that Satoshi Nakamoto wrote out. Almost every cryptocurrency project has this, some businesses have this, fintech companies have this. It's a very common thing to be doing in the tech world. All right, so this came out in 2008. Now, let's get back into how young this market is, right? Because that paper came out in 2008. I found it in 2010. It's now 2020. The entire market is less than 12 years old, right? Bitcoin itself is about as old as like these iPhones, right? It basically came out around the same time. All right, the entire cryptocurrency market is currently valued at maybe, I haven't checked it recently, but it's probably about $350 billion. At its highest, it was worth less than $1 trillion. All right, does anybody know the current valuation of the most wealthy, not the most wealthy, but the highest valued company in the United States? If you didn't know, it's Apple. Does anybody know how much Apple is worth by itself?
Trillion bill?
Trillion's close. They're actually a $2 trillion company, right? That's one company. That's just Apple. Just Apple's purely their stock. Their market valuation is $2 trillion. So we're talking about an entire market. This includes Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, any other cryptocurrency you ever heard of, as a valuation of a third of $1 trillion, right? So the opportunity here is huge when you're talking about these markets. So what we're going to jump into is actually not even Bitcoin. We're going to jump into our current financial system, because when I first started learning about Bitcoin, the first thing I realized is I knew nothing about American dollars. I knew nothing about fiat currency, So we're going to jump into this and we're going to make some comparisons between the two. So let's look at the current fiat system, right? So the current fiat system covers everything that we basically trade in Forex, right? US dollars, yens, euros, and all of these are issued by some sort of central bank, right? We have the Fed, they have the European Central Bank, Bank of Japan. These are the people that basically dictate almost everything to do with your dollar, right? Interest rates, monetary policies, supplies. So they're running the current fiat system. Current fiat requires some sort of person in the middle unless you're dealing with cash, right? I can hand anybody in here cash. It doesn't require anybody. But if I want to cash app you, Venmo you, PayPal you, right? If I want to process a payment to your business through Stripe, if you want to pay for your membership through IM, right? There's somebody in the middle of that transaction. Now, whether or not they're taking a fee, whether or not they're doing anything like that is going to be dependent on the actual institution, but we all know that most of them do. Whether it's coming out of your pocket or the business's pocket, somebody's usually paying these people a fee. This can result in multiple delays too, right? Anybody ever issue a withdrawal on a Friday, not get that till Tuesday, right? So there's gonna be all sorts of things: weekends, bank holidays. Don't even ask me why banks are closed on, like Columbus Day. There's no reason for that, in my opinion. Chargebacks are possible with fiat currency, right? So if I sell you something and you don't like it, what can you do? And I want to give you a refund. You call up your bank, you get a refund. Now your banks will frequently honor this stuff. Does anybody know why they frequently honor?
Because they get paid for the transaction.
I'm sure that plays a part in it. It's actually to build trust, right? Because in order to keep you, right, if I do a transaction, I feel like I got scammed and I call up Chase, and Chase is like, yeah, I'm not going to help you out. The first thing I'm going to do is be like, all right, well, I'm going to TD, because TD's going to have my back. So they will frequently honor chargebacks, which is great for consumers and in some cases bad for business, right? Because you don't really want a customer that's doing chargeback and stuff anyway. So if you lose the customer, it's fine, but typically you don't want that stuff on your account. Now we also have this point down here, which I'm going to actually touch on a lot, because what we have is these central banks that we're looking at up top, right? The Federal Reserve, the European Central Bank, the Bank of Japan, they can increase the supply to basically unlimited levels. They can print as much money as they want to, right? As long as it's within reason, right? They're going to try to find a reason for that. They're not just going to go hopefully printing out money and devaluing your dollar. But the reason I want to bring this up is because does anybody know how much money they printed this year?
Too much.
Yeah, too much is right. So I want you guys to think about the US dollar in total, in its entire history, right? Of all the money that exists. Oh, you already know that. I put this in the group. I know you know this. Right? If you're in the group, you know I talked on this. This is a big point. Out of all the US dollars that have ever existed, or that do exist, 22% of them were printed this year. Ever, out of the entire system. You're talking a lot of years since, the Federal Reserve, what was it, 1913 they came in? So 22% of all dollars that are floating around were printed this year. Right? Akil was talking about earlier, right? What's one of the things that are constantly working against you? Inflation. Inflation. Right? This is where inflation comes from. They print out a bunch of money. Now there's all this extra money floating around.
Who asked that question? Who asked the question?
What you asked?
Yeah, what the one you just asked? Did you know?
I didn't hear it. A few people answered it. You want to know for yourself, huh?
No, I got money I got to give away. So.
Oh, I got you.
Inflation.
There you go. Right. So listen, they printed 22% of all money that exists this year. Right. What else do you guys see happening this year? Right. You notice that stocks are going through the roof.
Yes.
Right. So they dropped for COVID. Why? Because there's fear in the market. right? Why did they recover the way they did? Right, from the second the Fed said they were going to start printing money and doing stimulus packages, the market turned around. I'm talking literally like the same day that stuff became public information is when the bottom was put in, right? That's what the result of you printing money, and 22% of it is on your everyday pockets, right? Now those stocks cost more to buy, right? If you want to go and buy some Amazon stock, you're probably paying like $3,000-4,000. Now they're a valuable company, but also because all these dollars came into the market, now you have, you know, people that have extra money in their pockets and they're going to spend that, they're going to invest that. So let's take a look at this versus crypto, right? Versus Bitcoin. We're going to very specifically talking about Bitcoin. There's other projects out there that have different characteristics. Just for the sake of time, we're not going to go into anything other than Bitcoin. So we have Fiat on the left. This is the stuff that we just went over. And then on the right, we have the comparison in regards to Bitcoin. So let's start with number one, right? So created by a decentralized distributed computing protocol, and it's governed by majority rule, right? And this is the basic definition of blockchain in general, okay? So let's talk about what a decentralized distributed computing protocol is, right? Because that sounds confusing. Good question? No.
No, I was gonna say I was gonna answer what you just said. My bad. Go ahead.
Okay. So let's talk about that, right? Basically, what Bitcoin is, it's just a bunch of rules, right? It's computer code at the end of the day. It works like an app does. It's no different than Facebook Messenger or Cash App or Venmo. It's just lines of code. Now, these codes are law, right? It cannot be changed. It cannot be altered. Nobody's gonna go in and change any of this stuff. So it's hard coded, everything that we're gonna talk about below it. All right. So transactions, guys, only involve two parties, which is kind of a half-true statement, because you can see I contradict myself a little bit after there. But you only really need two parties involved, right? If I wanted to send somebody in here Bitcoin, all I need is your public address, which we're going to go over later if you don't know what a public address is. But all I would need is that, and then I can just verify the transaction myself and send that out. Now, the network is going to go to work in order to actually move that money, right? Because when I send you money through the fiat system, right? I Cash App or Venmo you, or I Quick Pay you. The way that works is they just shift numbers around in the backside of things, right? There's no real exchange of anything happening, right? Especially if I Quick Pay you like Chase to Chase. All Chase does is just subtract some numbers from your account and kind of shift those over to another. There's no actual money being moved. In this case, there is actual, it's not money, but it's the code itself, right? It's actually showing you the Bitcoin moving. And this moves through a network, right? It requires miners and nodes. Now, just to go into the very basics of mining and nodes, nodes are the people that watch over the network. These are the people that are running those full lines of code, right? And verifying everything. Nodes see every transaction. They pick up every transaction, whether you're sending, whether you're receiving. They know your wallet. They see your wallet addresses. They see the miners at work. The nodes are like, think of them like the banks, right? Think of every node like a little bank. And anybody here could run a node. I could download a node. I could download the original node right onto my laptop. It's a pretty big file, so you're going to want to have the space to do that. But anybody can run a node. You could verify transactions. Now, miners put their computers to work, right? They put their computers to work. What a miner does is they use computing power, and they use way more than a laptop these days. If you guys ever seen a mining farm, there's a lot of graphics cards. There's a lot of computational power behind that. But those are the people that are actually doing the work to move your money. Now, again, these guys are not involved in your transaction. They have no say of whether or not you can move the money. If I say that I want to move money somewhere, they're not going to deny that. But what could happen is they're going to be what could happen. What's going to happen is they're going to be the ones to verify it, right? So Chase could tell me, no, I don't want you to do an international transaction. I'm going to block that. I'm not allowing the money to move, right? In Bitcoin, with the two parties, you're not going to get that issue, right? Transactions are between you and the other person. As long as they're willing to receive it and you're willing to send it, it's going to happen. Now, this transaction itself is going to, it can depend on the network itself and how long it takes. I'm going to show you guys some examples of this in real time on what a Bitcoin transaction looks like. But a Bitcoin transaction can take anywhere from literally, what's a minute, less than a minute to a few hours. And this really just depends on those miners, right? How much work they have to do. If we all sent a transaction right now, that's a decent amount of work for a miner versus if I just send money, right? Because my transaction is a little bit of data, and then the more transactions we have, there's more data. So this is actually the biggest problem with Bitcoin, because the more people that use the network, so far, it's been proven that it does slow down. Did anybody trade crypto back in 2017? Buy
I
crypto,
tried.
yeah.
That was my first.
If you remember from 2017,
It was bad. It didn't matter. Like,
depending. There were times when the network was really slow, and not only slow, but if you wanted it fast, you had to pay a higher fee. Because these miners, right, they're the ones verifying the transactions. So if I want to send a Q $100, and Abel wants to send him $100, and the average rate for me to do that and the fee is like 50 cents, but I want mine to get there a little faster. I could literally pay the network $1. I could double the fee and get my transaction pushed forward. Right? So there's a few things that play with this. There could be people that are paying their way ahead of you. There could just be a lot of transactions backed up in the network. But as we scale and more people enter the network itself, the more miners that enter the network, the more nodes there are, the faster this can get. Chargebacks are impossible, right? So we have chargebacks that are frequently honored in the fiat market, but chargebacks are impossible once a transaction is confirmed. Now, does anybody think this is good or bad? What do you guys think? Good? We both? Yeah, so it could be good or bad, right? If you accidentally send somebody money, this is a very bad thing. Because one, you better hope you know who you sent it to, so you could ask them to send it back. And if you don't know who that person is, I'm sorry. At that point, especially once it's confirmed, it's done. There's nothing you can do about it. And since Bitcoin is semi-anonymous, as you guys can see below that, finding out who you sent that money to is gonna be very difficult. Personally, I like this. I like that chargebacks are impossible. And let's go into why. So there's a lot of accountability that comes with this, right? On you as the person. I believe in if you have the power over your finances, you have to know exactly how you're managing them. And this keeps people really on their toes about who they send money to. Now, unfortunately, if you've ever gotten a message on Instagram or Telegram, and I'm sure everybody in here has, people asking you to send them Bitcoin to trade in their auto trader, right? There's a reason they do that. It's because they know once you send that money, it don't matter if you find out it's a scam. They're keeping it from that point out. The next point, a limited supply of 21 million Bitcoin. A limited supply of 21 million Bitcoin. That's production is deflationary. Deflationary, that's the opposite of inflation, right? So what deflationary is talking about is there's going to only ever be 21 million of these things. And right now in the market, there's probably almost 19 million, right? There's 18 and change, right? We're very close to getting to that 19 million mark. Does anybody know how a new Bitcoin is made? Nah, Satoshi has nothing to do with the market now.
Is it when so many transactions go through and the confirmations are being confirmed and create numbers break down and codes break down and it breaks off and creates?
It's close. So it is based off it's almost based off transactions. So what happens with Bitcoin, we're going to go over the entire process of what happens when you actually send Bitcoin. But there's something called blocks, right? We have a blockchain. And every 10 minutes, there's a new block. So all the transactions that happen in the next 9 minutes, the nodes are going to pick those up. They're going to put them in a block, right? Just imagine they put them in a box. And on average, every 10 minutes, a new block is formed. And whenever a block is mined and confirmed, the people that mine it, right, these miners that are verifying your transactions, they're not doing that for free. Trust me. They're not, out of the kindness of their heart, they're not running mining farms for free. They're doing that because when they find the block and they solve a block and they verify your transactions, they're getting rewarded with brand new Bitcoin. Does anybody know how much Bitcoin you get if you verify a block by yourself? It's a lot, just to throw that out there.
So I need to invest in a farm.
That's debatable. right? But if you mined a block by yourself, your reward for that would be 6.25 Bitcoin, which at $11,000 a pop is about a $77,000, $80,000, payout.
Question: how much power would you need to verify?
You are not mining a block by yourself. Yeah, solo miners don't get paid, unfortunately. You can try. There are farms that try to solo mine because they know if they do get a block, it's going to be a big payout. The result of what's going on now is miners eventually decide, or not even, they've eventually figured out, right, that there's just more power in numbers, right? If I have my laptop and I'm mining Bitcoin, and Abel has his laptop, and everybody in here has their laptop, if we pool our power together, we have a better chance of getting a block. And a better chance of getting a block means we have a better chance of getting paid, right? So miners now are actually kind of working together in order to do that. A lot of miners will link up to what they call a mining pool. And then when that pool gets a block, you get paid out your portion of the power. So if you're providing like 2% of the power in that pool, you'll get 2% of that reward. So in order to start something like that, you would have to, one, build a mining rig, which is going to cost you, at this point, a couple $1,000s because you need a couple graphics cards to run that off. But then you would basically load up an operating system like you have on your computer. You would open up an app and you would literally just, like you are connecting to your broker almost in a way, right? There's going to be a certain address that you connect to. And once you connect to that, your power starts going into that pool and then you'll start getting paid. There's actually a lot of applications now, since we're, again, further into the market, that will help you out with that. And I'll show you a few things with that later as well. So you know what, that it's semi-anonymous. A lot of people think Bitcoin is anonymous, that if you send it, like no one's gonna ever know that it's yours. The reason we say this is semi is because even though there's no name attached to your account, right? Your bank account has your name attached to it. It's got your address. It's got all the information. Your Bitcoin wallet doesn't have that. But if I send you $100 in Bitcoin, you're gonna see in that transaction what wallet it came from. And if you know that that's my wallet, then you can look into that wallet and you can see all the transactions that I've ever done, right? So if an institution, if anybody knows one of your wallets, they can, using the blockchain, they can find out who that wallet is likely connected to and what other wallets may also belong to them. So again, it's not fully anonymous. It's also not fully transparent, but you have to take certain precautions to get to the point where people can't find out if it's yours. So like me, personally, I have a wallet right here. Right, this is my Bitcoin wallet. This is a physical wallet. We're gonna get into this. It's a little device, right? I have 3 of these, by the way. This is a brand new one.
How much you got on there?
On this is like $40 on. That's where my profits from Toro go. Right? But my wallet at home, I don't send Bitcoin to anybody from that wallet, because that's where all my holdings from 2016 are. Right? If I'm going to be sending money from that wallet, I actually transfer it at least 3 times before I send it where it has to go. And that's just a security measurement, so people are less likely to find my original address, and that they don't know exactly how much Bitcoin I'm holding in my wallet at any given time. Yeah, that's actually something I picked up from a few OTC guys.
Just a little tip too. If you guys have a lot of Bitcoin, don't let nobody know you got a wallet. Like you got like that thing right there. I doubt he will ever tell anybody where his actual main one is. Right? Like,
I will. It's in a safety deposit box. So
go.
good luck getting to it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Touch on that real quick.
So it's a little bit of an oxymoron, right? Because I keep in crypto, which away from the banks, then it's in a safety deposit box. But the reason I do that is because the Bitcoin that's on that wallet, I didn't buy for me, right? Because yeah, we're talking long term. That Bitcoin is gonna supersede my life. Right? That's not for me. That's for my kids. That's for my kids' kids. Okay, so that's why I went to the extreme measures of doing that. You don't have to do that, right? Because this right now, you could literally steal this from me and it does nothing for you. And I don't even lose anything, right? This is just a device that lets me access my stuff. It's not actually on here. You can't extract it off of this. Yeah, it's a little ledger, right? So these things are great, but again, you don't have to go through that for me. The reason I keep mine in the safety security deposit box, honestly, I keep it away from myself, right? Because you know how hard it is for me to go and get that and spend that and do stuff with that? That's why I do that. So I don't touch it. The last point here that I want to make, guys, is divisibility. Right? So take a look at this number. If you can't see this number, it's just a 0 with 8 digits after it. You can, your question?
Yeah, I have a good question. So, since you said that you moved yourself 3 times, so if you add VPN to your network, how that change your transaction?
That will not help. Yeah, VPN won't help. I'll show you why later on, but it won't help. That'll help mask, your IP address and like maybe where you're sending it from, but it won't help you in terms of like, masking it or protecting it. Yeah, the network that you send stuff over is it's not gonna matter. Yeah, I'll show you some ways to hide that though. Divisibility is a great thing for long term. For the long term of Bitcoin, right? Because right now Bitcoin's $11,000, and that's not accessible to everybody, right? Some people ask me all the time, like, "Oh, I don't have $11,000 to invest in Bitcoin." I'm like, "Okay, that's great. What do you have? What do you have? $50, $100, whatever it is. You can buy a fraction, multiple fractions of a Bitcoin, right? So right now, if I want to drop, $100 on Bitcoin, or let's say $111 on Bitcoin, I'd get 0.01 Bitcoin, and that goes all the way down to 8 digits. Now, obviously, if you get 0.000001 of a Bitcoin, it's gonna be fractions of a penny because the price of Bitcoin's not high enough for that to be valuable. This is actually one of the reasons why I call for $1 million Bitcoin. Right? I truly, honestly believe Bitcoin will be worth $1 million. There's no question in my mind. Now, I might not make it to the point in my life where I'm alive and that happens, but I'm sure it eventually will. And at $1 million, right? At $1 million, that would equate $1 US would equate to 0.00000001. Right, so $1 would equal the smallest fraction of a Bitcoin. That's the ultimate goal for a lot of us long-term people that are on Bitcoin. Any questions about the differences between fiat and crypto before we move on? All right. Yeah, what's up? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was able to ask you one, but I'll let you move that. I have one. I'll let you move that.
All right. So digital wallets, guys. Right. I already showed you guys my ledger. This is one example. Right. I keep this. I don't even keep a real wallet. I use like a money clip. Like this. There you go. Look. I don't even keep a wallet. But digital wallets are going to be how you're going to store your Bitcoin. And again, this is going to be a little bit new to some people because it's not like a typical wallet. So a wallet is just digital software. It could almost be anything. It could be a functional piece of hardware, which is exactly what this ledger is, right? A functional piece of hardware. It could be software on your computer. It could be on your phone. You have Cash App, Coinbase, right? Those are phone apps. It could even be a piece of paper, right? You could store a Bitcoin on a piece of paper. All it is numbers. You write those numbers down and you keep those. That can be it can be done on a piece of paper. And if you ever want to try a paper wallet and have some fun with it, that same website I showed you guys, bitcoin.org, you can actually download a paper wallet from there. It's a place to hold your private keys, and that's going to be something that we're going to go over right now, that are used to validate your public address. So let's talk about this, right? Private keys and a public address. Public address is what you send to people for them to send you Bitcoin, right? So if anybody here has ever deposited to their broker via Bitcoin, they give you that little QR code or that long string of characters. That is the public address. That's where they want you to send your crypto to. Now, private keys are a little bit different. They look exactly the same. They're just as complex. They're a long 26-character string of random letters and numbers. But what that private key does is it actually lets you validate sending your crypto, right? It's like your password. It's literally just your password. Now, you won't always have a private key. And I would say that most people in here probably never really experienced a private key unless you have something like a ledger or some apps that actually give you control over it. Right? And this leads into the next thing, right? There's 2 types of wallets. There's hot wallets and cold wallets. A hot wallet is what most people use, and it's what I recommend you do not use, right? A hot wallet is anything that is connected to the internet.
Oh, we all in trouble.
Yeah, a hot wallet is anything that's always always connected. So that's your Cash App, right? That's your Bitcoin and Cash App. That's your Coinbase. That's your Binance. That's your KuCoin. That's wherever you got it that's connected to the internet. Now that also qualifies if you move it to your computer and you leave your computer on, right? Because your computer is still connected to the internet. And that still opens you up to potential hacks, threats, things like that. So that's what we talk about hot wallets. Cold wallets, again, this allows you access to your private key. Hot wallets typically don't give you your private key, right? Coinbase, when you want to send Bitcoin from Coinbase, what they do is they just get your request via the app, and then they use the private key on their side to actually move the funds. So hot wallets don't have private keys. Cold wallets are going to have private keys. And these are devices that are typically either hardware or really nice and trusted desktop apps that go the extra mile to make sure that you're not connected to the internet. So again, cold wallets, guys, examples, this ledger. I have another app on my laptop here that's an example of a cold wallet. It's called Exodus. All right, Exodus here. And Exodus is arguably both, because if you're connected to the internet on your laptop, right, now you're shredding into the hot wallet territory. So again, every wallet has two keys associated with it, guys. Now, whether or not you get that private key is going to depend on whether it's a hot or cold. Again, Coinbase is not going to give you your private key. That's because Coinbase isn't keeping your crypto in your own little wallet. You might think it's in your own little wallet, but they do it like the banks do it. They keep it in a what they call like a vault account, a custodial account, and then they just credit you whenever they need to. This is what a key looks like, right? So that long string of characters we talked about, right? The public addresses, right, where you send your crypto to, they look like that. The private keys also look like that. And again, just going into the two keys, the public key, your wallet ID, this is what other people will use, or yourself if you're transferring crypto to yourself. When you want to move crypto into the wallet, again, most wallets will constantly generate you a new public key. This just goes into the case of privacy again, all right? If you ever opened up Coinbase, they'll give you a different wallet address every time. This is, again, just to build on that semi-anonymous thing. These companies do this on purpose. And just so you know, usually when they rotate addresses like that, they will keep a history of all the addresses they've ever given you. So if you do use one that's not currently your one, they will still credit you that Bitcoin. What's up? So you're talking like if you lost this? Yeah, so if you lose this, when you set this up, what it's actually going to do, it's going to give you, and it's not in the slide, it's going to give you a 16-word phrase. And you probably have this if you set yours up. That's a recovery phrase. So if I took this and this got destroyed, because this is a physical device, right? There's a good chance that this can get ran over by a car, it could break, it could just malfunction, right? So the crypto's not actually on here. This is, again, just a storage, it's a point of access. So you can always recover your crypto onto another device using your recovery phrase. Now, if you lose that recovery phrase or you misspelled a word or it's over. You lost your stuff. I'm sorry. And there's tens of thousands of lost Bitcoin that way. Tens of thousands. Right? That's why you see this, look. Private key, protect this with your life. I'm sorry, repeat that. You see this? Yep. No, the phrases are predetermined. It's given to you. You do not pick those. Yeah, so when you set this up, what it's going to do, it's literally on the little screen on here. It will show you, hey, this is the first word. Write it down. Here's the second word. Write it down. Here's the third word. All the way through all 16. It's going to give you those. You cannot make those. It does not want you making those. That's not secure. You picking the recovery phrases is not secure. Because you're going to pick your dog's name, your kid's name. You're going to pick your best friend's name, right? That's not going to be secure. Yeah, right? People are going to try to make it easy for themselves.
They actually have a good question that I heard.
What's up?
If you lose Bitcoin, where does it actually go?
Nowhere. It just lost.
Just in space.
It just lost. Yeah. It's. I mean, technically, it's still on your wallet, right? Technically, it's still on that wallet. It just becomes inaccessible. So there's actually a wallet out there that has, I don't know, I read this the other day. It was like something crazy. It was like close to 6 figures in Bitcoin. And they know it's locked in there. They know they can't access it. So you know what they did? They were like, all right, well, I'm never going to get this. So they gave the public address out, and hackers for the past year have been trying to crack their way into that wallet. Because whoever cracks their way into it gets to keep it. Now, I'm going to have a big problem with the whole network if they crack into it. 'Cause if you crack into one wallet, you can crack into what? All of them.
At the same time.
Yeah, so I mean, that's also why they're doing that, right? They know that they're not going to crack into it. But at the same time, you know, they really want that money. So,
So I got a question.
what's up? Hold on, me.
So, what if the government, this is just random, because you just brought something to light. What if the government say, okay, we just buy all the Bitcoin, the rest of the Bitcoin, buy it all the way up, no more Bitcoin, and we just hold it. Or quote unquote, lose it.
right.
What does that, how does that affect
So-
in a good way or bad way?
That all depends on how the community sees it. So me personally, I already have my Bitcoin, so I don't care. Right? You don't want to drive the price up and buy it all up, go ahead. See, the thing with that is it would be very tough for the government to do that. They would have to sit there. Listen, Abel was talking before, right, about accumulation and distribution. Accumulation is just the act of buying something, right? Literally the way that I trade, I stalk the charts and I look at people accumulating or selling off things or distributing them out, right? If the government wanted to come in and buy it, they would have to do a few things, right? One, they'd have to get access to all the exchanges, and they'd have to sit there and buy out the book. Now, there's a lot of AI in the markets, a lot of, AI trading. If they see high buy orders like that, all they're going to do is jack up the price on all the stuff in the book. All they're going to do is make whoever's selling it really rich, right? They're not going to be able to just come in and buy it all. And then remember too, not all the Bitcoin is in production. It's not all been produced. There's still 2 million that's going to take over 100 years to mine, right? That 2 million that has not been mined yet is going to progressively get very hard to mine. So I wouldn't worry about the government coming in and doing that. If that was even a remotely viable option, they probably already would have tried. And low key, I think the government has like their hand in this stuff anyway. Yeah, they're smart. They're not. So let's go over buying this stuff, right? How do you buy Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies? Well, to start, you can just download an app these days, right? Remember back in 2010, I tried to buy this. It was hard. All I had to do was find a person and set up a wallet. But back then, it wasn't that easy. But when it comes to buying it, you can basically do anything. You can hit up an exchange. You can download an app on your phone. You could buy some directly from somebody that has it. If I have Bitcoin on my ledger here. If you wanted to give me $20 in cash and I send you $20 in Bitcoin, that's how that would work. So again, peer-to-peer, somebody you trust. Typically, you want to pay somebody you trust. And when it comes to Bitcoin, if you're buying it peer-to-peer, 99.9% of the times, you're sending the money before they're sending the Bitcoin. And the reason for that, again, you can charge back your money. They can't charge back the Bitcoin. Nobody that's selling you Bitcoin is going to send it first. I can guarantee you that. Now, if you do want to buy it off a person, this is where I started. When I talk about OTC, which is just over the counter, right? Localbitcoins.com. That's probably the only place I can recommend to find somebody to buy it. It is pretty secure. Local Bitcoins kind of acts as like a third party kind of processor, so they'll be like the middleman of the transaction. But expect to pay a little bit more money when you're buying it peer-to-peer, because people assume that if you're buying it peer-to-peer, you're trying not to leave a money trail, right? You buy it through Cash App's going to report that to the IRS. So typically with local Bitcoins and things like that, right? You're trying to skirt some stuff there. You will expect to be getting marked up. Typical markup price, about 5%. Expect to pay about 5% more. All right, so let's go to the transaction lifestyle. All right, so this is what typically happens when you send Bitcoin. And most of it is stuff you never even see. All right, so let's go through this, right? So Rob opens up his wallet, right? He decides that he wants to copy and he wants to send some Bitcoin. So he's going to get the address that he wants to send it to. Remember that public address that we had. he's going to fill in the amount and the fee. These days, you don't have to worry about filling out the fee. Okay, your exchange is going to take care of that for you, and he's going to send that out. So it's very basic, right? You open up your app, you put in the address of where you're sending this, you're putting in how much you want to send, and you're pushing send. That's where your journey ends. That's where the journey of the network is going to begin. So let's jump into a few things that happen, right? So the wallet itself is going to sign the transaction. Now, the important thing you need to understand about this is that if you have your private key, technically this step is done by you. So the second you put in that private key and you hit send, that's what's validating it. If you're using Cash App, Coinbase, a third party, right? It's going to take them a little bit to look at what you're requesting and then go on their back end and do it, and that's when that happens. The transaction at that point is going to get picked up by a node, right? And a node, again, is just somebody that's running the full network on a device. When they see that transaction request come in, they're going to take that and they're going to blast out to the rest of the network that you want to move money, right? So if everybody in here is a node, right, and I pick up a transaction and I see a transaction come in, the first thing I'm going to do is tell every single other node this transaction is happening, right? So the entire network is aligned that this is actually taking place. And this is again where we come into that majority rule, right? 51%. As long as 51% see it, then you're good to go. And the other 49%, they either have to agree or get kicked out. So there's really no incentive to not agree with the network. Now, miners are going to take that transaction from the nodes because the nodes are going to send that out, right? They're going to send it out to all the other nodes. They're going to send it out to the miners. And the miners are going to take that and they're going to put it into a block, right? And just think of a block like literally just like a box, right? They just take the transaction, they put that into a box with a bunch of other transactions. And what they're going to do is they're going to start solving really complex math problems. And they're going to do this by using something called hash. Now, the whole process of what hash is and how that works gets very complicated. The one thing you need to understand with this is a security measure so that everybody else in the network can verify that the work has been accomplished. So what's happening is these miners are taking the transactions, they're putting them into a block, and then that block has a very specific hash. And they do math to prove that that hash actually works. That's where you get the whole concept of proof of work coming from, right? Once one of these miners claim to have solved the math equation, it's going to confirm that block. But in order for that block to confirm, this doesn't really go into it too much, right? This just says that it just propagates the new block to the network. What actually happens in between this is once they solve that, it says it's solved, it goes back to the nodes, and the nodes and the other miners will verify that work. If they get the same answer, which they should, then that block gets confirmed on the blockchain and new Bitcoins are created, right? The person that solved that math problem is going to get rewarded for that. Now, whether that's one person, which is very unlikely, like we went over, or if that's a giant pool of people, is going to be seen. So again, the nodes verify the result.
I got a question.
What's up?
Where you get most of the money from? Being a miner or being a node?
So currently nodes don't really get rewarded like that. Yeah, I mean, like not like a miner. I mean, yeah. So the question was who gets paid more, right? Was it more rewarding to be a node or a miner? The nodes really don't get any sort of benefit for being a node, right? All the node is doing is adding extra layers of security to the network, right? Because the more nodes there are, the more people that are verifying the transactions, the more decentralized it is. If you just have JP Morgan verifying everything, they could just lie. They could just make up whatever they want because they're the only ones looking at the books anyway.
So would you see nodes and are they called miners? Like, are you gonna, if you were to want to get in the industry, you would basically want both?
Nah, you would want to pick one or the other. Only really diehard fans run nodes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean most average people don't
So that's
run a node.
how
I don't run a node. I would never
not
run a node.
hobby, but like, they're really
It's somebody that really believes in the network.
Okay.
Most people that mine run nodes,
Okay.
but people that just run nodes are
They
doing
don't
it just to
actually
do it. Yeah, or just curious and want to explore the network. Kind of dive into it. Yeah, there's no real reward for being a node. Now, In other cryptocurrencies, it's the opposite. In other cryptocurrencies, they don't even have miners, right? All they have is nodes, and they do something called proof of staking, right? So they don't actually solve complex math problems using hardware. They do something a little bit different. That is where a node would be rewarded.
But in that scenario, a node could manipulate the system if they have nobody else on the math problem for verifying multiple.
No, there'd be multiple nodes. There's always gonna be a network of nodes. Yeah, if you only have one node, you don't have a cryptocurrency. And then at that point, you just have a centralized, financial system. It's just you. So that's not really a worry. So once the nodes and the miners verify that the math is right with the hash, they put that block into the network. They confirm that it's accurate. These people get rewarded. Whoever you sent the money to now sees a confirmation. Now, one confirmation just means that there's one block since you did your transaction. That's all it takes to confirm a transaction is one confirmation, right? One block. Now, this says that they see it right away. And this is the stuff that we're going to test in real time, right? Because not every wallet will give you your Bitcoin based off one confirmation, right? Anybody ever send Bitcoin to Cash App? You ever get that notification that says your Bitcoin has been received, we're processing it, you'll have it shortly? That's because they saw one confirmation. They're waiting for the second confirmation to actually give it to you. Because the more confirmations you have, the harder it is to reverse that transaction. And we already talked about there's no chargebacks possible, right? If you had one confirmation on your transaction, I sent you Bitcoin, it's already confirmed once, and I want to change that, I want to alter this to make it look like I didn't even send you anything, I would have to go back in time and have to remove that transaction from the block and then solve that block and all the blocks in front of it. I would have to redo the entire chain and get everybody to agree with it. Right? So it's just not going to happen. But yeah, so depending on what wallet you're using, depends on when you'll actually see that transaction. Cash App will notify you at 1, deliver it to you on 2. Your Forex broker will wait for 6 on average. Right, so you need 6 blocks for that.
I have a question. This is a live example. The other day I was sending my friends money, right? And I was like, hey, you want Bitcoin or cash? In my head, I wanted to send her some Bitcoin because it had just went up. So I had extra Bitcoin in my Bitcoin wallet. But is that ideal or am I losing out by sending her the Bitcoin? I said the cash, she picked cash, but I'm just curious about it.
I mean, you're losing out on future gains. Right. I mean, if you bought Bitcoin at 10,000, then you send somebody at at 11,000. Yeah, I mean, I would send them the cash. Okay. I would send you the cash. I would send the cash. So let's take a look. Actually, hold on. Let's see what's on the next page here. Yeah, let's hold on. Actually, no, let's go to that one. All right. So let's talk about some of my favorite things with this. Right, limited supply, the halving, which we have not talked about. Divisibility again, which is just breaking down one Bitcoin into fractions of one. Let's talk about what's possible with this, right? There's only 21 million of these things. So we're going to talk about the halving. This is a little old, so just mind the dates on this, right? So the halving is an event that occurs every 210,000 blocks. Again, this is all based off code. This cannot be changed. The halving happens every 210,000 blocks. No matter what, nobody can change that. It effectively cuts the reward from mining a block in half, right? So we can see that the current reward, right, when I made this presentation was 12.5. In May, it got cut to 6.25, right? So miners literally took a 50% cut in their reward, right? So last year, they were making 100% more. And I mean, technically speaking, in terms of how much Bitcoin they were getting, back in 2008, they were making a lot. I mean, what are the numbers on that, right? The first halving happened on November 29th and brought the reward from 50 Bitcoin down to 25. You used to get 50 Bitcoin for confirming a transaction or confirming a block. And that happens every 10 minutes. So every 10 minutes, 50 new Bitcoin were hitting the market. All right, and then it got cut in half down to 25. And then the second halving happened back in July 10th of 2016. This is actually is actually like a month or two after I bought my first Bitcoin, which was at about $500 and something.
So is it every 20, look like every 4 years, so it should have happened this year too?
Yeah, it did in May. So it was actually a little early this year. So it was actually, the projected date was May 12th, but it actually happened on May 8th, I think, of this year.
Wow.
So yeah, May 8th of 2020. So that to your point, it seems to be every 4 years, right? Because every 210,000 blocks, on average, that's 10 minutes per block. You do the math, it's about 4 years. So we can expect, again, right, in 2024, what's going to happen? It's going to go from 6.25, it's going to get cut down to 3. And it becomes more and more scarce.
So by the time the mathematical go down to 0, we'll be at 21, basically 21 million Bitcoin. The math go all the way to 0.
Yeah, it's gonna cut, it's gonna, remember, it's also divisible. So
I'm sorry, I told y'all I asked questions about
right, so it's also divisible, so.
Can you repeat the basic indicator question? Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, so the question is like whether what's gonna happen once we get to like the 21 million, right? Like, is it just gonna cut all the way down to 0? And it is. It's gonna go from 6 to 3 to 1.5. It's gonna go all the way down to below 0. It'll be a point whatever for the reward. Now, hopefully, price continues up so that it's rewarding miners. But technically speaking, yeah, that number is gonna nothing but decline.
Okay, so if they keep reducing the reward, then the incentive to do it goes away. And so why are they doing that, right? Because if it's less and less incentive, then when you ever get to the 20.
So yeah, that's first of all, that's a great question, right? Because obviously, as the reward goes down, the amount of Bitcoin you're getting rewarded with is less, right? But when they were getting rewarded 50 Bitcoin at a time for every block back in the day, the price of Bitcoin wasn't $11,000, right? So I'll tell you guys right now, right? In May, when it did the last halving, the price was, if I recall correctly, and I'm just going purely off memory here, I think it was about $5,000, $6,000, right? When it got cut last time, but now we're at 11,000. Right, so even though they took a 50% pay cut in May, the price of it now is more than double than what it was. So yeah, they got hit, but their Bitcoin's now inherently also worth more. Yeah.
That's what overdid with the 100 million into it, right? Around that time.
What with
Bitcoin. When she invested 100 million.
well, who invested?
Oprah.
I didn't even know Oprah had any. To be real, yeah, I don't keep track of I didn't even know that. It's good for her. But it might have been. It might have been. I mean, these days, a lot of people are getting into it, right? Square just bought 50 million worth. Grayscale, one of the largest funds in the world, owns like 2% of all the Bitcoin. Yeah, that's because 50 Cent was taking Bitcoin for some of his album sales back in the day. And then one day he woke up and was like, oh man. Oh yeah, there you go. But yeah, that's because he was taking some back in the day. But yeah, so again, the miners, they do get less incentive, right, over time. But what typically happens too is when this mining reward gets cut in half and these guys take a pay cut, the miners at that point have to do one of two things. They have to decide to stay operational, or they have to decide to shut down the operation. Right? And some of them shut down temporarily until the price goes back up because they know that they're currently not making money. And what's that do? That actually reduces how many people are confirming transactions. That can slow the network down. What that also does is it gives the rest of the miners a higher % chance of now finding a block. So it's a tough thing to do because yeah, if you leave, you might not be losing money, but if you stayed and other people left, you might have actually had a better chance at getting a reward. So it's a lot of variables for them, right? Based off how much they're paying for electricity, whether or not they're still profitable. There's a lot that goes into that, and miners take it very serious. But the miners that have big farms are typically just running it 24/7. Now, this is one of my favorite things to share with people. What this is, it's showing you the price of Bitcoin, and then the colors that you see on the chart are how long it is until the next halving. So when it's blue, right, when you see this dark blue, that means that we're about to hit a halving, right? So back in May, again, you could see this is a little bit of an older chart. You can see we're getting into the light blue, into the dark blue. We're getting very close to that mining reward getting cut in half. And when it's orange and red, that means that a halving just occurred and that we're actually as far out from a halving as we can be. Did anybody notice a trend here?
Oh, yeah, up direction.
No. I'm just talking in terms of the colors, right? When you see it shift from dark blue to red, what happens?
Higher highs.
Right? Look at when we get to this dark blue, right? Dark blue into red shoots up. Dark blue into red shoots up.
As a consumer, as a retailer, whatever, if we would be watching the market, understanding that a halving is about to occur and that we should buy now because it's about to shoot up,
That's exactly, yeah. This is why I've been preaching for the last year that I don't care what the price of Bitcoin is. Don't ask me if it's 2,000, 3,000, 8,000, 10,000. Just buy it. Just buy it, because when you're getting close to a halving like this, and then you have less Bitcoin coming into the market every single day, but more people are looking to buy it, right? Supply and demand. There's less available and more, or the same. Then you don't even need more people. It can just stay the same, right? The same people are buying Bitcoin every day, but there's left half of it is no longer available. They have to compete harder, right, for that already existing supply, right? So this is one of my favorite graphs because it really shows you why the halving is like the single greatest fundamental event to happen to any asset. No other asset does this. Gold does not do this. Oil does not do this. Stocks debatably do this, but it's at the, that's up to the company, right? Reverse stock splits, stuff like that, right? But gold does not do this. Gold, they just mine gold and they just tell you it's scarce, which, by the way, it's not as scarce as they let you know.
I think,
Yeah,
with the way 2020 going, this might be the best thing we got to look forward to with 2020, y'all.
Oh, this is, yeah, I agree.
Everything else, this right here might be the one.
Right. So I bought in around the second halving. So somewhere in that dark blue up there. That's about when I bought. This event is why I spent the first 2 years not caring what banks and institutions were saying. Who remembers that all banks were against this? Right? JP Morgan saying it's a scam, it's a fraud. People like Buffett, blaming it. What I said is they don't understand this. They don't understand the effect the halving has on it. There's no asset that exists that is that's coded to be deflationary, right? You can't change this. They're not going to just flood the market with more Bitcoins. You can't do it. You can't do it. This is the single greatest fundamental event. All right, so I always like to strike curiosity in people, right? The whole point of me doing this is so you guys can go off and research things. So I would, take a picture of this, write these down. These are some of my best resources to give you guys to continue education. We're going to go over a couple of these as well, just to kind of show you guys some things. Bitcoin.org, that's the official Bitcoin website. Bitcoin.com does not actually push pro-Bitcoin information. They push Bitcoin Cash, which is a hard fork. It's basically a clone with slight variations to it. The people that own Bitcoin.com think that their version of Bitcoin is better, so they push Bitcoin Cash. I'm not a fan. So please make sure you guys go to bitcoin.org. That's where you'll get a lot of your appropriate information.
Do you follow anybody on the digital current market through our platform?
No, I don't actually. That's not, I know about Ivan and Crypto Picasso. I've been in the industry with them for a while. I knew Crypto Picasso before he was with IM, when he had his own thing that was going on. I don't follow any of them personally because I formulate my own opinions about things. That's just the way I am. I will take their insight, their opinions. I'll add that with the rest of the information I have. But if you're just getting started, absolutely, hit that DCX. Those guys, they know what they're talking about. I've watched a few of the other sessions. I know they're big on other altcoins like Tezos and whatnot. So they definitely know what they're talking about. Definitely tap into that stuff as well. CoinMarketCap.com, guys. This is where you can go to look at all the cryptocurrencies, right? Ranks. Bitcoin's at the top, Ethereum's in the second, Ripple's in third. It'll just show you everything. This is no different than looking at the stock market and just seeing all the different stocks that exist.
Did you already answer the question? Is Bitcoin the only cryptocurrency that you support?
No, it's not. In 2017, I owned 123 different cryptocurrencies.
Okay, but I mean.
Now, not in like mass, like I got like commissions from things.
Okay,
you
well,
know.
what do you hold besides Bitcoin and mass in big life?
Great question.
All right, so let's open up CoinMarketCap. I'll show you guys some stuff that I own. Yeah,
Oh,
I mean right now,
What's in that bank?
I probably own like 40 different cryptocurrencies
Okay.
in
your
some
savings
capacity.
deposit box, you got it.
No, that's just like my Bitcoin, and then some other like some of my Ethereum is in there.
Okay.
Again, going back to like hot wallets and cold wallets, a lot of like my Binance has like a bunch of coins in it.
Yeah.
I keep them on there. It's either smaller money or coins that don't have like solidified wallets. Some projects are so new they don't even have like a system for you to do that with, which is unfortunate, but it's it happens. I own so listen, just to go through this, I own Bitcoin, I own Ethereum. Tether is not really a cryptocurrency. That's more like a digital version of your dollar. You would go into that if you wanted to sell your Bitcoin, but you didn't want to like sell it back to your bank. You wanted to keep it on the exchange. You would go into something like that. I don't own XRP. I'm not a fan of it. That doesn't mean that it's a bad project. It's an amazing project. It's a bank coin. I don't like the banks, so I don't want to enable them to do what they already do faster. That's not my goal. Bitcoin Cash. That's what we just talked about, right? That's just the other coin. You have Binance, BNB. Binance is an exchange. BNB is a coin they use on their platform. It can help you do things like lower fees. If you hold enough of it and you have an affiliate account, they give you higher commission payouts. I'm big on BNB. BNB is a big part of my bag. And just so you know, BNB is the number one performing. Well, actually, maybe not now. Chainlink's went crazy. That's right under it. But BNB is like one of the top performing assets of 2020. Chainlink. I don't own Chainlink. I was put on the Chainlink when it was $2-3. So you guys can already understand my pain on not buying that. Some other stuff I hold. I'll show you one of the ones that I talk about a lot. Right, Noya. First off, shout out to Abel, because Abel is the one that sent this to me. I didn't even. Yeah, this one's very lit. Yeah, so Abel actually sent this to me one day, and I took one look at the website and was like, "Yep, let's buy it." So this is again just one of many examples of cryptocurrencies that I own. This is not like Bitcoin. It's not like meant to be a store of value or to like send money between people. What they actually do is they're actually looking for ways to reroute your internet connection to give you the best connection at any given time. So you guys know, right? In this building, the service is terrible. I don't know if you guys have experienced that yet. But if you what Noya basically does, it would be an app on your phone, and you would open it up, and you would basically be like, all right, my internet's trash. I need better internet. It would find a better route for you, and then you would just pay them with the Noya, and they'll connect you to that route. It's kind of like a VPN in a way. It's like a decentralized VPN is the way to put it. But yeah, these are examples of coins that I own. Again, you can go through CoinMarketCap and you can find all of these. If a crypto is not on CoinMarketCap, it's either extremely new, it's either extremely risky, but CoinMarketCap does have a set of rules that you have to reach before they allow you on. Question in the back? So yeah, great question. Definitely Bitcoin, obviously. I'm big on Ethereum. The problem with Ethereum these days is they have a lot of competition. Ethereum actually is a platform where you would build decentralized apps, issue smart contracts. Because of Ethereum's success, a lot of these coins are actually built on Ethereum. Like low key, like Chainlink is like an ERC20 coin. Like they're built on Ethereum. Noya it's built on Ethereum. Without Ethereum, Noya wouldn't even exist, right? Chainlink wouldn't even exist. A lot of these coins wouldn't even exist, right? So just kind of keep that in mind. So I would do Bitcoin, Ethereum. Then if I had to pick a third, I ain't picking Ripple. Ripple, I mean, listen, if you're looking for yourself, yeah, Ripple's a great third option.
I have a question, bro. Do you feel like since these ones in the top 100, right? They're obviously known already. They're more mainstream than other ones.
Yep.
Do you feel like it's a safe bet to invest long term in any of these?
So yes and no. And I'll show you why no. So CoinMarketCap actually has a really cool feature to it. And that's if I could find out wherever they put it. Let's see if we can find it. Let's see. Tools. They used to have. Yeah, they probably got rid of it. They used to have. Oh, there we go. Historical snapshots, right? So CoinMarketCap has something called historical snapshots. We could actually look at the rankings from way back in the day, right? So let's take a look at that. Let's go back to like 2015, right? Let's see. This is currently, it's almost November. Let's do November 1st. So this is what the cryptocurrency market looked like on November 1st of 2015, right? So let's go to the top 10 here, right? We got Bitcoin, we have Litecoin, we have XRP, we have Ethereum.
Wow.
Yeah, right. So Ethereum, yeah, $1, right? You're talking about there's 300 now, and it used to be 1,500, right? We have Dash, we have Dogecoin, we have BitShares, we have something called PureCoin NXT. It's 2015. Now let's look at this, and now let's look at this. So this right here is what the market was in November of 2015. Yeah, it's a $325 Bitcoin, $4 Litecoin, and this is what it is now, right? But the reason I show you guys is because, like, to Abel's point, would you recommend buying anything in the top 10? And if you want to answer that question, you just got to see what has lasted in the test of time, right? What was around back in the day that's still there? I mean, look, you got Litecoin there, XRP is still at the top, Ethereum's up at the top. These are all great long-term holds. They're always in the top 10. They're usually always in the top 10. But there are some coins on this list. Like, let's look at PureCoin. Where's PureCoin at? It ain't on that top page no more, right? It might not even exist. I mean, I know it does, but let's see where they're at. All right, what's PureCoin doing these days? Look, rank 659. 659.
Top 10 to 600.
Yeah, it was a top 10 coin. Now, granted, there's a lot more projects now than there were back in 2015, right? But not everything that's in the top 10 is going to stay there. It's not going to always stay there. So, I mean, if it's in the top 10, what?
What was the price for it?
I mean, it's probably still up in price. 38 cents. 21 cents. Yeah, so it's actually even cheaper, right? So these people that have been holding since 2015, they're struggling. They're trying to hold on for dear life here. It's that hodl life, you know. But if I had to pick a third coin that I was gonna buy and recommend for the long term, Neo's amazing too. Neo is like the Chinese version of Ethereum. I don't know if you guys know this, but for every worldwide cryptocurrency, China just decides to make their own and competes with it. There's a lot of Chinese coins that are just made strictly because they're carbon copy. You know, that's what they do. That's what they do. It's the business that they're in, you know. But they also lead the market. China is, I mean, in terms of cryptocurrencies, like they know what they're doing. Yeah, and there's reasons why Neo is up there. Is because, again, they would rather invest in their own people than they would.
Somebody said why?
Why what? Why is China big on it? I mean, listen, China is like one of the world's oldest empires, right? I mean, so remember, blockchain is also transparent. So it's also easier to track the people that are involved in it, right? So China is also very much interested in that for the most part. But China is also where a lot of the mining farms take place, right? Because they have very cheap electricity out there. Very cheap electricity. So it's very cheap to mine out there. That's where it kind of comes from. The community is strong out there is because it's cheap.
So how does all of this knowledge relate to how you trade crypto like on a daily basis? Because you do trade crypto on a daily basis.
If you're day trading crypto, do it the same way you use Forex.
Okay.
If your strategy don't work in Forex, it ain't gonna work in crypto.
Okay.
If it works in Forex, it's gonna work in crypto.
Okay.
All charts are equal. Right, I could open up a chart right now. I could hide three things. I could hide the pair name, I could hide the price, and I could hide the time frame, but you could still mark it up, right? So that don't matter when it comes to trading.
Question, how much is that deal?
Neo is like that's a great question. I don't even know. I think it's like 12. What's it? $12, $15.
Yo, Monero's another good one.
17.
$17?
Yeah, Neo, by the way, used to be like a $250 coin. I made a lot of money off Neo in 2017. I'm big. Yeah, I'm big on Neo.
It dropped because of this year. It dropped this year.
Well, it dropped because of the whole market in 2017 when everything kind of like course corrected. Again, market cycles, right? Not everything is going to always rise. So it kind of course corrected with that. And altcoins, these coins are always going to take. If Bitcoin takes a hit, these things are really going to suffer. They bleed a little bit more than Bitcoin does.
The big time Alex Moore told us to buy into GBTC crypto. I'm not sure if you know anything about that, but I want to say it's more like $11 right now.
GBTC, I've never even heard. Oh, that sounds like, I don't know, is that gold Bitcoin? It's like Bitcoin Gold, isn't it? GBTC? Or is it GT? Because BTCG is, that's Bitcoin Galaxy.
They get a video on that, right?
Yeah, I would need the actual ticker because GTBC is not coming up on CoinMarketCap, so I'm not sure what that is. Because I know there's something that exists called like Bitcoin Gold. Yeah, there's BTG, which is Bitcoin Gold. I couldn't even tell you what this is. It's probably gold backed by Bitcoin on chain. Oh, grayscale Bitcoin. So that's probably not actually a crypto. Yeah. So what grayscale is a giant fund. They manage assets in every market. What he's probably telling you to do is the reason Grayscale buys Bitcoin is because then they sell it back to their clients, right? You buy into their fund, and then as Bitcoin rises, and they own 2% of all Bitcoin currently in the market, by the way. Actually, probably more than that by now, because they buy a lot of it. So they're just acquiring it for that. The reason he's probably telling you to do that is because that's like it's often seen as a safer route than buying Bitcoin itself. It's like a way to get in on the price rise of Bitcoin without actually having to own it. So I'd imagine that's probably why he's advising for that. What's up, bro?
Question. In your professional opinion, where do you see Neo going long term?
I'd say I haven't checked into Neo in a while. I would say if I was going to give it a price target, though, I'd probably shoot for like 400.
400?
I'd probably
So
shoot for like
figures?
400. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Easy. I mean, it used to be. I mean, all of these will return as long as they're projects that are still being developed and worked on, and people are using it. It'll grow. So Neo's problem is that a lot of people aren't building on it. You know, I mean, they have people that are, but it's not like Ethereum. It's not like some of these other networks. So they're struggling a little bit, but I would still be bullish on it. I would still be bullish on it.
Yo, and just for the record, this dude, every time he tells me to buy a coin, it immediately goes up for something. So I'm just saying, he's talking
Listen.
about Neo. That's what I'm saying. Like, really looking to invest into it. How much is it right now?
17.
$17. And this has like the entire Chinese community behind it. Yeah, that's gonna be another three-figure coin very soon. I'm telling you. Yo, there was a
I'm
point-
sorry, it was $150 each.
It's a
So
little,
yeah, $100.
little off topic, well, not off topic, but like 2017, 2018, right? There was a point where me and him were literally on calls every single day, just finding new coins. And like when it comes to like cryptocurrencies, right? There was a point where you think 5% is big, right? Like in regular investment terms, if you can make 5% in stocks and stuff, it's pretty cool. But with this, nah, we weren't getting out unless we 10x our return. Like that's the power of these cryptocurrencies. So like me and him made a lot of money in 2017, 2018. And it was really just because we were doing research, going through all these, trying to find gems, right? Because there's a lot of hidden gems that are not going to be on the first page, that are not going to be on the second page, right? They're going to be on the fourth, fifth page that are just now launching but are really good projects. If you can get into that and put your money and just have patience,
That's nothing but facts. So that's a great question. Yeah, so especially if you're like me and you're from New York, there's really nothing you can buy on Coinbase because Coinbase offers a wide range of assets. The state of New York hates everything, so you're restricted on what you can buy. I'm gonna show you guys right now the easiest way to find out how to buy any of these coins, right? You're gonna open up CoinMarketCap, you're gonna find our coin. We're gonna use NEO as an example here. All right, CoinMarketCap will give you all the information you guys need as long as you know how to find it. So you're gonna open it up. We're gonna see NEO here. There's a bunch of information, right? You can go right to their website. You can see the announcement for it. The announcement is gonna link you basically to where the first post about NEO was, right? Typically where the white paper is, right? The announcement of the project, in case you ever want to see that. The Explorer is something I'll go over in a little bit. And what you can do is you can come down here. You see where the charts are? You see this next tab that says Market Pairs? If you click on this, what this is going to do is this is going to actually show you, one sec. This is actually going to show you the exchanges that this trades on and which ones have the most volume behind it, right? So if we take a look at the top there, we can see that the number one place that NEO is currently trading at is Binance. That's no surprise. NEO is a Chinese cryptocurrency and Binance is a Chinese exchange. So that's no surprise, right? So this is going to be probably the best spot for you to buy it. Now, if you don't already have a Binance account, this is not going to work for you because Binance no longer accepts US clients. If you have an account like I do from 2016, you can still go on and still do that stuff. So I'm grateful to Binance for letting me keep that. But you would just go to the next one that works for you. So FineXbox, I've never even heard of this. So again, there's a lot of volume traded on it, right? In the past 24 hours, there's been $5.5 million in volume. Probably not a bad place to check out, right? I'd go to their website, I'd see what the exchange is about, see if I trust it. But I would look for any of these exchanges that are doing decent volume. So HitBTC is one you could use. You know, yeah, Coinbean's down here.
Yeah, I'm about to say, yeah, why is that
Liquidity. Yeah, liquidity. So if you're on an exchange and like some of these exchanges, look, there's like only exchanged 616,000 worth. The order book on that exchange probably has like a wider spread on it than Binance because there's less buyers and sellers. So you typically like we talk about Forex, right? Forex is a $6 trillion plus. Why do you think your spread is so small? Because there's a lot of people trading it. So the spread lowers up. If you're on a low liquid exchange, you're gonna potentially not get the same price. You can actually even see the prices here, right? It's 17.16 on one, 17.19 on another. That's just because of the individual order books, right? So I would look for an exchange that is averaging pretty decent volume for what that coin does, right? Because some coins are just not going to do much volume because there's not much activity behind them. But you would come into these market pairs, and this is where you would find where you can buy those. It'll list most of the major exchanges for you. All right.
All right, so I'm ready to become crypto knowledgeable.
So real quick, just to finish up these other websites here, CoinDesk is a very great website. It's a blog. They also have some stuff for you to learn off of. Definitely check out CoinDesk. It's a great news source. Cointelegraph.com. Consider that like, your Forex Factor, your investing.com. You go there, there's going to be just tons of articles around cryptocurrencies. I highly recommend if you guys take cryptocurrency seriously to visit that website at least every few days. Right? If I'm sending stuff on Telegram, there's a high chance I got it from there. MyCrypto.guide. Right? Highlight, put a star next to this website. This is where I learned. 100% free. It's basically a blog. Just some dude that broke it down in a very basic terms. I highly recommend you use that website to read through. And then of course, then you have Binance.vision, which is just Binance's free education as well. Also a great resource if the other ones don't work out for you. So what I want to show you guys is actually the Bitcoin Explorer. Because again, everything that we went over today is all transparent, right? All the transactions are transparent. All the blocks are transparent. All the wallets are transparent, right? So what we have here is just the Explorer for Bitcoin. You can see all the transactions that the nodes are picking up, right? Those nodes are picking up those transactions. And when I said that they're sending them out to the network, this is actually a live feed of all those transactions. So those are real-time Bitcoin transactions that are coming in that are very likely to be placed in the next block. And then you could see that on the left side there, you have the latest blocks, right? So the ones that have already been confirmed. And if we look at the times on these, I mean, look, 16 minutes. So that means the network's right now running a little slow because on average, a block should take about 10 minutes. So about 6 minutes over what is typically estimated at. All right, but then you could see, look, 23 minutes and then 25 minutes ago. So you also had a block that was only 2 minutes. You know, they threw all those transactions in and they sold that thing in 2 minutes. That's, you know, doesn't always happen that way, but that's why I say transactions can take minutes, they can take hours. But the reason you guys would use an Explorer, and the reason that I use it, is to track your transactions.
Got a question, right? You see how it says mine by?
Yep.
The BTC.com.
Yep.
Have you ever been to that website?
I mean, I have. Not recently, but I have.
What is that? What is that?
So realistically, whether BTC.com is actually doing that or not, so this is just another Explorer, right? So it's just another Explorer. Now, that doesn't mean that block was actually mined by BTC.com. They might not even mine. But what they might do is they might actually pay a pool that mines a lot of blocks to say that it was mined by them. That's advertising. Because they know when you're checking out the block that when you see that, yeah, it's honestly a genius idea. It's somebody that either named their pool that or whatever, but that's just advertising. And then you can see that also some blocks are not disclosed on who mined it, right? You don't have to put a name to it. If you're solo mining, you mine a block, you don't want people to know. You're a mining pool, you don't want people to know. It doesn't have to be done. So again, that's also why we say that Bitcoin.com is probably just an advertisement because that's just the way it works. Or some pools will do that too. You'll see stuff like, you know, the actual pool name, so you can go and join their mining pool.
I learned something.
So this bar up top, right? We can put a lot of things in there. You can put your wallet address in there. You can put somebody else's wallet address in there. You can put a transaction ID in there. You can put the hash from the block in there. You can put the block number in there, right? If I wanted to look what's in one of the blocks, right? If I wanted to go to block 123, I could probably do that if this wants to allow me to do it. Right? Yeah, here, look, block number 123. This thing was probably mined back in 2008. You know? But this is one of those blocks, and we can see a few things, right? Age, 12 years ago. All right, the date that it was mined. The block height, which is just the block number, right? Just block number 123. That's how many confirmations it has, right? That's just every block after this block. We can see the size of it, and we could see in this block back 12 years ago, there's only one transaction. That's it. They mined an entire block, and only one person sent something.
What's block one? Go to block one.
So block one is the Genesis block, right? So that's basically Satoshi's block that they mine. All right. So here is actually, you know what's amazing about these blocks? You know what this one transaction is? Anybody guess what this one transaction is for 50 Bitcoin?
That was back in the day, right?
Now this is the first block ever mined.
12 years ago.
You know what that transaction is? That's not even somebody sending Bitcoin. I didn't even catch on that in the last one. That's the mining reward. Because the first transaction in any block is always the reward. Because the miners put that in there. They have to add the transaction to get paid. They have to say that, hey, we solved this. This is where we want the Bitcoin to go. So in this block, again, this is the Genesis block, the first block. Satoshi created this block. When they mined this, that 50 Bitcoin went to whoever mined it, and probably Satoshi himself. All right, if we went to like block like 500,000, no, not 5. No, not block 5. You don't.
That's crazy. 2012, as you get rewarded 50 Bitcoin, holding that still.
Yeah, see, here's an example of another one. So you see the first one right here, the Coinbase transaction there is basically just letting you know that's the mining. The miner is getting paid, and you can see that right. What's up?
Did you own Bitcoin? What's the highest it went to, like 20?
Yeah, just shy of 20,000. Depending on the exchange, just shy.
Own Bitcoin then?
Yeah. Yeah, I bought Bitcoin at $525 in 2016.
So did you move it to maintain that dollar amount or that value somewhere and then rebuy it where it dropped again, or did you just hold it?
No, so after it fell from 19,000, it harshly fell. And then just being a trader, I know things that obviously are going to recover. So when it bounced back up to 16,000 when we took profits. So I did sell out some of my Bitcoin. You'd have to be out of your mind to buy it at less than 1,000 and not sell out at 16. Like at that point you just have massive greed flow, and if you're at some point you got to book some profits, right? So yeah, I did sell out at 16. The 2 or 3 people that actually listened to me in 2016 that also bought with me, because I was telling everybody. I mean, Abel remembers, like,
I'm one of them that ignored him, by the way.
not for long though, not for long, but
He was selling our like $1 million circle that we had back then to buy when it was around $400 or $500 a coin. That's when I just started getting into forex, finances, entrepreneurship. So I had no idea. So I wasn't thinking it was a scam. I'm like, nah, I don't know what the hell this is, right? And I didn't even know him like that back then either.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
exactly.
So I listen to this kid. Where'd he come from? Like, so I ignored him. I really didn't start buying into it. It was over $1,000 a coin. That's when I personally started buying this and that and that. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, back then again, very, very few people listened. The only person that truly listened, is also one of the greatest traders that I know to this day.
You guys are younger than me, and I hear you talking about how young you were when you started. Oh, here, all right, you can hear me back. I'm just saying that these guys are obviously younger than me, and I'm hearing you talk about years ago how you were coming up with this information, and I'm thinking about the future. Are you guys like recruiting young people to keep you fresh with information? Like, 'cause I'm thinking like, damn, how did you even know this years ago? Which is wild to me. But it's like, do you think about how to keep that young mind like feeding information? Because these kids just are doing amazing things. That I'm like, damn, you guys are really young getting into this game. Like, I'm just getting into it.
I'm a very curious person. Like, I mean, like again, a lot of people on our team know that I drop a lot of things in the chat, articles and stuff like that. I'm always consuming information. I don't think that has anything to do with age, right? Because I met people that are younger than me that they don't research anything. It really just stems from who you are as an individual. If you're the type of person that seeks out information, then you can learn anything. You can go anywhere. I truly believe anything is possible at that point. So I wouldn't really say age has anything to do with it. I mean, obviously, younger people may be a little bit more open-minded because they don't have experiences that are impacting, their decision-making. But personally, for me, I don't really try to like recruit or like find anybody younger to keep that energy around me. It's probably a great idea, but personally, I think it's just.
I'll give you an example. My son recently, he said, "Mom, let me see your phone," and I was like, "For what?" And he did something to my iPhone, and I was convinced I was about to be hacked because he downloaded some type of, I don't even know what it was, some new software, Apple beta. I was like, boy, they're gonna take all my money, all my bank's passwords, and I had no idea what this thing was. But they're learning all this technology stuff, and I'm over here scared like an old lady. Like, what did this do to my phone? And so that's how I would feel. I would have had that reaction. But no, I'm very intrigued about all the information.
Yeah, I mean, it's don't get me wrong. Like, I understand how intimidating this stuff is.
Yeah.
Right? Because like again, there's aspects of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies that go way over my head. I'll read through a white paper and it'll get to the technical stuff, and like I consider myself pretty good with technology. Again, I used to work at Apple, so it's not I'm well versed in it, but even then, like some of the technical stuff, like stuff with the hash and the computational stuff, goes way over my head. It just comes down to like you have to just understand that you're not going to know everything. And just because something is above your area of expertise, your knowledge level, like that. I mean, personally for me, that excites me more. I'm like, oh, cool. If I don't understand this, then how many other people don't understand it? And like, then how can I, capitalize off of the fact that I'm ahead of everybody else? The thing with cryptocurrencies too is like a lot of the older generations, again, they don't buy into it because they don't understand it. They're intimidated by it, and they're the ones that say it failed. But it really is not even up to them. It's not truly like what happens with this stuff isn't even up to my generation. It is up to the younger generations because they're the ones that are going to be using it to pay for things. They're going to be the ones that are in that world. So they are definitely like better to keep around. I mean, we weren't really that young when we found it. I mean, it was You know, I mean, we're still like, yeah, you know, like approaching our mid-20s at that point, but.
You know what I was doing in 5 minutes?
Right. So what I'm gonna do real quick, I'm actually going to show you guys what a Bitcoin transaction looks like, how fast it could be, how slow it can be.
My cash app is.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna be ready for that. Hold on.
I'm ready right now. Phone charged up. Take this phone. What you need? You just need my phone?
Yeah, no, telegram me your Bitcoin address on. So I'm gonna do two things, guys. I'm gonna send Bitcoin. I'm gonna send a little bit of Bitcoin to her wallet, and I'm gonna send a little bit of Bitcoin on my wallet. Now the only difference here is the wallets that we're using.
Wait, you sending it from your account to your wallet, right? Not mine. I don't need no.
I'm sending it from mine. Yeah, I'm sending it to you and to me. Wait.
Where's the whole wallet at?
Oh my God, I got it.
She's gonna get one too, don't worry. All right, so let me load up.
Bitcoin, deposit, copy address.
Yeah, I'm sure Abel was.
Done, Scags. On the way, bro. Done. Bitcoin address sent to you, bro.
All right, so who did send me an address? I'm gonna make it random. Is that Cash App? No, but it's a Cash App address, right?
Yeah.
No, like what app?
They playing around too much.
Hey, why you look at her?
I don't care. Just somebody send me a wallet address.
Scags, I got you. Check, bro.
I hear you, bro. I hear you. Listen. But wait, what app is it? Is it Cash App?
Yeah, I sent you, bro.
Okay, all right. So listen. No, listen. I'm trying to get his Bitcoin, bro. You already have some. Listen. So look, all of them send me hot wallets, right? So their wallets are gonna need at least 1 to 3 confirmations. What I want you to pay attention to, and whoever I send it to, which is probably gonna be, I'll probably send it, to a few of you guys. I'll just divide up the money I was gonna send. But I want you to pay attention to when they tell you that they received it, and when I receive it on my end. Okay? That's what we're gonna go over, and we're gonna monitor their transaction because mine's gonna hit like right away. So let me send to them first because I already know who's gonna win the race. It's gonna be my wallet. All right, so let's see. I mean, that's just advice from an Android lover. So. All right, so I'm gonna open up Cash App. I'm gonna put in Tuck's address here. We're gonna send him. Let's see. I have $20 of Bitcoin on here. So. So I'm gonna send him 0.001. All right, so as of right now, I'm gonna confirm my send to him, right? So look, ready? Confirming the send. So it's on the way to his wallet right now. Now I'm gonna go in. I'm actually gonna copy my address as well from my ledger here. I can do that all right from my phone. I'm gonna send Bitcoin to myself as well. So this is to 007. I'm gonna put mine in. And at this point, pay attention to the screen because I'm confirming it right now. We're gonna see when that comes in. We're at 43.29 right now. So we'll give that a few moments to pop in. And then again, Tuck, when you get that notification.
I just got a notification.
But it says so it's been processed shortly, right?
It says pending.
It says pending. Is it in your Cash App?
No.
So it doesn't show in your Cash App yet.
Nope.
So that means the network sees it, but he currently has not received it. And the network probably sees mine. And again, I currently have not received it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna open this up real quick I'm gonna just try to keep this down there.
Deposit along with money I requested from Keisha and Will.
Let's see if let's see, hold on. Where's his address at? Yeah, that's because the price of Bitcoin's more. So yeah, as the price of Bitcoin moves up and down, I'll fluctuate up a penny or so.
Oh, I got it.
Is it in there or is it
It's
just?
in there.
It's in there.
$11.
That's gonna be the fastest Cash App transaction I've ever seen.
$11.
And then boom, look, see, so mine just hit 2, and I sent it to his first, right? So how long has that been? Like what? Like a minute, 2 minutes? Not even.
He sent you $11?
Mind your business.
I got your ad, don't worry.
It's 35 cents.
Listen,
Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm gonna send it to somebody else. And then the last-
yeah, go ahead, pass that around. Make sure everybody gets a little bit of that.
So the first one to send me your cash, yeah, Bitcoin, I'm sending it back.
She's already on it.
Everybody but Keisha.
So listen,
No. A Wilder and Keisha is not allowed.
all right. So listen, This is why it took so quick. The network just did 2 blocks in 5 minutes. That is so rare. I can't even believe that happened, honestly. So we just had 2 blocks happen within the last 10 minutes. There's 3 blocks in the last 10 minutes. So the network's actually running at 3 times speed right now. So what just happened typically doesn't happen. Typically it'll hit my wallet like it did, and then it'll take another 10 minutes to hit his. But because those blocks hit those confirmations, Cash App was quick with it. It's the network confirmed it. It got moved in. Now, if we come into one of these blocks, right? Actually, hold on. Where's Telegram? Because I sent his address to my Telegram. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look up that transaction on the block. Right? So here's his address. I'm gonna say sorry if I expose your wallet somehow here. Nope, it's only got $11. Good. So I knew it's a fresh address. Right? So here's his wallet. Right? I can see that he received my money. Right? The beautiful thing about this is if you send somebody money or if you send money to your broker account and you're asking yourself, when is it going to get there? It's a pointless question. Just look at it. Take the same address that you sent that Bitcoin to and see if they actually received it. We can see that in the wallet, he's got the 1155. We could see the transaction that we have. We could see how many confirmations it has.
So when we have someone sign up with Bitcoin, typically we can maybe track it here. Sometimes it's waiting forever.
Yep, exactly. So instead of waiting and being curious, just take that same address that you sent it to, paste it into this, and then you'll see based off how many confirmations they are, if you should have been credited yet, or if they should have honored the receiving of that. Again, when you're sending it, it depends on the other side of the platform. It depends on who's receiving it. So again, my ledger doesn't actually need a confirmation at all. As long as the nodes pick it up, it'll actually give it to me. It's a little faster than a traditional wallet. Your brokers, again, most of them are gonna require 6. So if you deposit to your broker and it's 2 hours later and your broker hasn't credited you yet, you can just take that address, keep those addresses saved. Don't just copy and paste it and lose it. You have to keep it, put it in here. And if you see that it only has 5 confirmations, then don't worry about it, because when it hits 6, it'll be in your account. And then if you want to just watch, the blocks, at that point, if it was at 5, if I send money to a broker and it was at 5 confirmations and I was waiting for my money, the first thing I would do is I would come back into this normal tab here and I would look at how long the blocks are taking. If it tells me the last block was 55 minutes ago, I'm like, okay, it's nothing wrong with the broker. It wasn't my fault. The network's just slow. Right? So you can actually come in and see everything that you need to see right on here.
These blocks are pushing too.
Yeah, the network going crazy today. And sometimes it'll be like that. Sometimes in the middle of the night, it'll be 6 hours without a block. The network just gets moved to almost into a wall where it can't keep up with itself. What happened to this page here? All right, and then we have his block here, right? So this is the block that our transaction was put into. And again, we could look at how many confirmations the block has. We could also look at all the other transactions, right, in the block. So these are all people that sent money around the same time that I did, all over the world. Again, we don't know who did this, but if we knew their wallet address, we could put 2 and 2 together and follow that money. Yeah, you could actually follow money. So if you actually took that money and you sent that to somebody else, what I could do
If you
is
bought gummies, they could know you was the one that bought the gummies.
I sold.
Right, I could open up the transaction, and if he decides to move that Bitcoin again, I can look at his wallet and find out where that Bitcoin went. Again, I can find out the wallet it went to. I won't know.
So you just want the same address, right?
Yeah, whatever you sent it to. And the good thing is too is if you don't know the address, like right. So if I go to deposit to my broker and I use the QR code and I never copy the address, if I still want to look up that transaction, I can look up my own wallet. Because if I look up my own wallet, then I can look at my transactions, and the last transaction that I send should be that one. So even if you don't have the opposing wallet, you could still use yours. You just have to dig
So
through
you
your
can use your
transactions.
own address to track.
Yeah, I use this to track. If somebody tells me they sent me Bitcoin, I'm like, I bet I put my wallet in, I just wait for the transaction to pop up, and then I can track it. And then I can,
Same thing, you find out, okay, how many confirmation that you have before.
correct. Yeah, it'll all be displayed on that same page.
So if you click on this Bitcoin and like you cashed out, you go to your bank account, you can click on it and show what bank account everything was with.
No, this will only show stuff on the blockchain. This will not show you. Yeah, if you sold the Bitcoin for dollars or on an exchange, none of that will show up on it. It'll maybe show you moving the Bitcoin to another wallet. Like if you sell it on Coinbase, then Coinbase is gonna move it to like their wallet.
So like cash out, when you receive the stuff from your broker, you cash it from the Bitcoin back into your bank account.
Yeah, nobody's gonna know that you moved it back into your bank account.
Okay, so
Yeah,
that's
it's only
where
stuff
the
that's on chain.
untraceable come, right? That's where the untraceable come.
Well, I mean, it's not untraceable because Cash App themselves are gonna report that to the IRS. But yeah, I mean, if I move, so put it this way, if I move my profits from my trading account into my ledger, nobody has access to my ledger, right? They don't know what I do with this. So then if you give me like $1,000 in cash and I send you money from my ledger, now that's pretty untraceable. Unless of course they know my ledger, and then they look into it and they're like, oh, where'd this Bitcoin go? At that point, you'll have to explain it.
I have a question.
What's up?
I feel like I have way too much Bitcoin in my cash app. Is there a way to move it without paying like a lot of fees, like to another wallet? Because the day I bought it is when it had dropped back down to 9,000, and I like bought a lot of it. But now I'm like very uncomfortable that I have that much in my cash app because it was just easier for me to do it. So what's like the best way to move from wallet to wallet, and like what kind of am I going to get hit with all the fees all the time, or should I just keep it there? Like, what do you suggest?
I mean, so when it comes to fees, the fees are pretty standard no matter what wallet you use. Now, if you have a ledger like I have, you'll be able to use something called Segwit, which is we're not going to get too much into that, but it's something that was built on top of the Bitcoin code to make it more efficient, make it faster, less fees. That's why my coin comes in very quickly on here, because it's actually going through like the Segwit network. If you're using something like that, yeah, the fees are like ridiculously cheap. Like I probably like me moving anything to this is I probably pay like close to nothing in fees. Cash App, Coinbase, and they're going to essentially dictate that for you. So it's up to your wallet. Some wallets will make you put the fee in. Right? Some wallets are like, okay, cool, this is how much you want to send, how much are you going to set the fee? Now, a lot of wallets got away from that because that's not user friendly. Right? If you open up a wallet and it was like, oh, how much do you want the fee to be to send this? What are you gonna put in? You're gonna put it as like cheap as you want.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't want to pay any fees. So the problem with that is transactions would slow down. Miners wouldn't want to confirm them. So most wallets now will just go with whatever the current average is, and it'll usually display that to you first. You won't pay much in fees. Be careful with Ethereum though. If you're moving a lot of if you're moving Ethereum at all, be careful because fees on Ethereum can be astronomical.
I got a great question. How do I move my money from my broker's account to somewhere it went with the IRS?
So it's like, yeah. So when it comes to that, understand that right now the IRS is doing everything in their power to create tools to track this stuff. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I literally got a letter in 2018 from them because Coinbase at that point started reporting the stuff to the IRS because they got too big or essentially became a bank, and now they answer to them. So when it comes to that, you have to really go through a lot of loopholes. I mean, it's a dangerous territory. I put it this way: does everybody in here know who John McAfee is?
Yeah.
Right, creator of the McAfee antivirus. They finally just arrested him. I'm gonna say finally because he's been on the run since like 2016, 2017. He was living on a boat in the middle of the ocean because he wasn't paying taxes, and he wasn't like hiding it. He was like on like Twitter, like saying he ain't doing it and that they shouldn't tax it. So listen, like even people like that have been in the game for a long time, and he's got hundreds of millions of dollars in Bitcoin. If they're catching him, I would advise you just to report it. That's my professional. Don't even try to hide stuff like that. If you do, great, but like understand that like these days they have the tools to follow stuff around. Honestly, right now, I mean, if you want to do that, you don't even want to be using Bitcoin. You want to be using Monero. Because Monero is a privacy coin. Monero is a privacy coin. So that's like the IRS literally is trying to hire people right now to crack Monero because they can't. They've almost accepted defeat at this point.
So you would like transfer Bitcoin to Monero and then?
Yeah, you'd want to what they call cycling it.
I have a question now. I was listening to Kim Torres, and she told us on the IG Live that if you have a residency, like you live in Puerto Rico, that you take your money out, it's only 3% tax versus a 30% here. Do you know anything about that?
No, I don't have any address in Puerto Rico to
We
try
do.
to. I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. There's tax loopholes left and right. We all know that Trump only paid 750 taxes, so there's a lot of things you can do, to mitigate that. But right now, I mean, Bitcoin's also taxed in a few different ways. It's almost taxed like you would have like a property. They almost see it as like an asset like that. Any other questions that you guys have? Because that's the end if y'all don't have questions.
All right. Check it out. Shout out to Scags. Now, who knew it was a big old genius up in there? That's a big old genius in there right here. Hey, check it out, man. Let's take 5 really quick. We do one more time. Give it up to Scags. Give it a round of applause. Thank you so much, bro. So we are gonna follow this up with a quick. I'm talking about quick. Don't be outside making movies. Quick 5-minute break. Go potty, wash your hands, sanitize, whatever. We got HFX up next. Woo!
Good job, bro.
Thank you, bro.
I thought you was a trader, man. Goddamn Bitcoin master.
Oh yeah, Bitcoin's where I made most of my first money.